Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Dion, and today we are going to talk about the 2010 preppy era. Now, this is a little bit different than my normal style analysis videos. I did one on the 2010 Tumblr hipster era, if you guys want to check that out. But instead of doing like a full-fledged style analysis where we go over the criticisms and the origins and everything, I just kind of wanted to talk about this not forgotten aesthetic, but this past aesthetic. Just a little bit more low-key, a little bit more less research intensive, all of that jazz. So before we get into it, make sure you subscribe to my channel because I post videos every Thursday. And with that, let's get into it. So the 2010s preppy era, I would say, started happening around like the 2008-9 mark, and I think officially really ended after 2016. That's when like the preppiness really just was over. I was in high school going into college during that time. So I went to high school from 2010 to 2014, college from 2014 to 2018. So I was like right in the thick of this. And as you can see by this Lilly Pulitzer dress, I had a preppy era. What can I say? And we'll get into it. I just feel like we overlook this genre, especially a lot of the influencers that used to be preppy, who are now not. So I want to talk about it. I think it's silly, especially after last week we talked about old money, and this is sort of part of the old money family tree, the academia family tree, things that took notes from the 40s preppy style and like how it manifested. So some tenets of the preppy style, if you don't know what I'm talking about, back then in 2010, we have brands like Ralph Lauren, Vineyard Vines, Lilly Pulitzer, Tory Burch, Barber, Sperry's, J. Crew, LL Bean, influencers like Sarah Vickers, the college prepster Caitlin Covington, or Sarah Bell 93X, who is now Sarah Elizabeth. Staple pieces are button-down skirts, chino shorts, blazers, Lilly dresses, the J. Crew paper bag skirt, a lot of chevron, ballet flats, seersucker, gingham, stripes, plaid, Jack Rogers sandals, peplum, boat shoes / Sperry's, Patagonia vests and Patagonia fleeces, and monogramming everything. These girls of the 2010s preppy era, these were the Bath and Body Works girls, these were the Christian Girl Autumn girls, which in autumn, which for me starts like August 15th because I get so excited for autumn, we're gonna do a whole style analysis on Christian Girl Autumn, like in depth, everything, because we gotta do it. I mean, that's just too classic, right? So in the preppy, the overarching 2010s preppy era, there was a divide, which is New England prep and Southern prep. New England prep, you'll see motifs like lobsters, you'll see a lot of navy, white, and red, lots of stripes, very nautical, a lot of plaid, especially in the fall, and it's more businessy, a little bit more like academia leaning in a way. Whereas Southern prep is bright colors, lots of Lilly Pulitzer, busy patterns just depicting summer, like Southern things like mint juleps, dolphins, lobsters. It's a bit more casual and brand focused. So Southern preppy is more like, oh, I'm wearing my Southern proper hat with my Vineyard Vines or Spirit jersey, long sleeve tee, and my Nike shorts and my Sperry's. So it's like casual because like these are athletic shorts and a t-shirt, but the brands that you're wearing is what makes it fashion. So I actually did have like a little bit of a preppy era, especially in college. When I was rushing for a sorority and going into college, I thought like that was the vibe. And I mean, my style takes notes from so many different things. This, if you had a 2010s preppy era, you know you clocked this dress. This is the Lilly Pulitzer lobster roll Dahlia dress. And it is so cute. It is a little bit too tight for me, honestly. But at the time, this is one of the most, if you're a Lilly Pulitzer person, you know, this is probably the most sought after Lilly Pulitzer dress of like my time, is the lobster roll Dahlia dress. It's so iconic, and around 2014, 2015, when I was really into Lilly, I searched so high and low, and I got this for such a great deal. I got this for like $100, and I think people were selling it at the time for like $250, $300 because it was rare. And I mean, it brings me so much joy. It's not really my style. I have other Lilly pieces that I absolutely love. I think Lilly Pulitzer is so underrated for non-preppy people. They're like, oh, that's a Southern preppy brand. I'm the biggest Lilly Pulitzer fan ever. I have like 6 Lilly Pulitzer pieces because it's colorful and she always has pink. So like, it's perfectly me. This dress, you will pry off my cold dead hands. I am not like, I'm gonna keep this dress for the rest of my life. I'm gonna keep this dress for my child. And I'm not that girl. Like, I am not someone that keeps things in general. I'm very much like, if it doesn't fit, leave it, whatever. Yes, it still fits. It's like a bodycon dress on me, which it's supposed to be a shift dress, but I'm passing this on because I know how iconic this dress is. I know how sought after it was, and it's just such, I mean, it's just such a good piece. The detailing on the side, I love this dress, and it is such like a point of pride that during the preppy era, I got this dress. Oh, I remember showing up to my like sorority recruitment stuff in this dress, and all my sisters were like, oh my God. I'm like, bitch, I know. Bitch, I know. Normally I would go through like criticisms and whatever. The thing is with the Southern preppy look, as you can see, it's basically Republican chic. I mean, it's very, and the preppy look in general, we've talked about this in Old Money and Academia. It's very white, it's very rich. These brands are all very expensive, and a lot of times, like especially back in 2010, the preppiness would slowly creep into like redneckiness. I'm from Florida, Texas, and North Carolina, so don't come at me, like whatever. You go from wearing like a Vineyard Vines t-shirt to like a Guy Harvey t-shirt or like a Flow Grown t-shirt, and that's more into the redneck part of it. I'm not gonna super get into the criticisms, especially, or like the how to shop this look, because I don't really think a lot of you guys are trying to dress in 2010s preppy. This is more of just like, let's talk about this little like old aesthetic that we were all obsessed with. I mean, back in the 2010s, for preppy people, I mean, peplum, chevron everything, monogram everything. I never got so into monogramming. I monogrammed one thing, and it was the cuff of a flannel that I then lost like immediately, which is really upsetting. I did have Sperry's, love. I had a pair of Jack Roger classic sandals, and I have a pair of Jack Roger wedges that I still wear to this day because they're gold and they're little flip-flops, and I'm a flip-flop person, and they look cute on everything. I'm not gonna get rid of that. I love it. And I mean, like in the fall, like you can't go wrong with like plaid skirt, cute boots. Like, I mean, there is a lot of things from the preppy era that we should keep around. And so I asked over my Instagram what you guys thought of the 2010s preppy era, and I love to include y'all in my videos. So we're gonna go over what you guys thought. But first I asked, how do you feel about the 2010s preppy era? 33% said it was ugly then and it's ugly now. 28% said it was cool at the time. 22% said it's not for me, but it's not heinous. And 17% said I still own some Lilly. Then I asked, what are some 2010 preppy must-haves? Peplum, Vineyard Vines. For guys, boat shoes and pink shorts. Sperry's, Jack Rogers, Vineyard Vines Shep shirts. Oh, I had a Shep shirt. I had this like pink and blue, like minty blue striped one. Oh, I thought I was the shit in that. Patagonia vest. Oh, pearls. Oh, you gotta wear your monogram necklace and then pearl earrings, or a pearl necklace with a monogram. All about the pearls and monogram. And a lot of gold in the preppy era. I'm not a gold person, personally. I said, tell me how you really feel about this era. One of my friends, Mark, who loves preppy stuff, he's like, I love it. My followers said, it was when I pretended not to be mixed race to fit in. In my deepest soul, I am fond of it. Which I think goes back to like, it's a very white aesthetic. I mean, preppiness in general is very white because it takes place from like 1940s Ivy Leagues, which were segregated and only for men. But especially like New England and Southern prep, especially Southern prep, it gets a little bit like so white. New England prep, because it sticks with more classic colors and classic styles. I mean, like really like a blue Ralph Lauren button down, a white button down. You can kind of go a lot of different ways. Like I think a lot of New England prep is now what we would consider like old money mixed with like coastal grandmother. I feel like coastal grandmother is very New England prep, just kind of more modernized. And I asked like, what do you think the 2010 preppy era morphed into? Like who are the prepsters now? They said they grew up to be millennial moms, Disney adults, young life leaders. Makes a lot of sense. Again, this was sort of a conservative style, which I think is why it dropped off dramatically in 2016, because that's when the Republican Party in the United States decided to become fascist. Then they said, did you have a preppy era? And it was down 50-50, 9-9, 50% of y'all had a preppy era. And then I said, I feel like Nashville boutique core is the new preppy era, and 80% of you guys agreed. So now we're gonna get into what is preppy today. And like I said, I feel like the preppy style, or the like preppy Lilly Pulitzer girls morphed into doing the like Nashville boutique preppy style. So like, I don't know, like sort of boho, but like white girl boho, and a lot of like Love Shack fancy, all of that. So I think a lot of former preppy girls went that like bachelorette route of doing a lot of like the Nashville boutique look, and the preppy genre as a whole. So like what is considered preppy now is like Love Shack fancy, Aviator Nation, that like visco sort of preppy. But Southern boutique core is alive and well. If you live in the United States South, you have seen these t-shirts. Grits, girls raised in the South. So now when you look up like preppy style on Pinterest, you see a lot of like academia style preppy. It's very simple, very classic, sort of like old money vibes. But when you click on preppy photos, you see the Aviator Nation, pink and orange, Love Shack fancy, visco vibe. So like I said, I think the preppy style, or what is preppy, has been relatively consistent since its dawn. Like taking inspiration from prep school and from Ivy Leagues. But who the preppy girls are now are girls that wear Love Shack fancy, Aviator Nation, Golden Goose, Prada sneakers, ruffled anything, Anthropologie Free People, Outdoor Voices, Hoka, athleisure. This girl went to an SEC school in college. She actually sent me University of Tennessee's Alpha Chi Omega Instagram page and be like, this is what the new preppy is. And I agree. When you look at, I think sorority girls are really basically the litmus test on what is preppy. And now what is preppy, again, is that pink and orange visco aesthetic, the Aviator Nation, the Love Shack fancy, those slippers with the happy face on them. I don't know, I'm not down with the kids. But that's what when someone says like, oh, they're preppy, that's like what we mean in 2022 is the Love Shack fancy girls. Preppy girls of yesteryear, they're either like Disney adults or they went full Nashville boutique. Exhibit A is Sarah Bell 93X or Sarah Elizabeth. She was the queen of YouTube prepsters. I have been watching Sarah for like, I think since I was like 14. She was one of the first YouTubers that I discovered, and I mean, Sarah, I know you're not watching this, but also like fuck you for making me dress like a 35-year-old mom when I was in high school, you know? A lot of business casual. But that was just 2010s in general. We were dressing children like business casual. I don't know why. But Sarah is she lives in Nashville, and she's very like Nashville boutique vibes, I would say. And she has a lot of like chic LA influencer style, but I feel like that in general is where like the preppy girls went, is Nashville boutique vibes. Like that's where the former preppy girls and then preppiness as a genre went Love Shack Fancy, Aviator Nation. But that being said, as someone that is currently living in New England, I mean, I went to a polo match this past weekend, which I know sounds like so rich and fancy. The tickets are like $15. It's not that big of a deal. But like every girl was in Lilly. Every girl was wearing Jack Rogers. I mean, they were really up here to flex, and I was like, oh my God, it's still alive and well. And like up here in New England, when it becomes warm, I see a lot of people wearing Lilly Pulitzer. I feel like moms in New England in general love a bit of Lilly. Lilly's still alive and well in the South, I believe. Like it's definitely not as huge as it used to be. I remember like you just had to have Lilly everything. Lilly Pulitzer planners, that was a must-have for the preppy girl in college. I had Lilly Pulitzer planners all through college because honestly, they were so good. They had like so much room to write stuff in. They came with stickers. They were so cute. I honestly highly recommend Lilly Pulitzer planners. I love them. So yeah, I mean, the New England moms still bring out their Lilly Pulitzer and Jack Rogers like seasonally. I feel like for preppy fall winter, I mean, it kind of stays the same. Flannels, boots, you know. And then the sort of Southern prep t-shirt style, so like of Spirit jerseys and Vineyard Vines t-shirts, that's still very much alive and well, especially in like frat sorority culture. And like again, the Southern boutique t-shirts. Oh my, whenever I go back to Texas or North Carolina or Florida and you go shopping, you always see women or girls in those t-shirts with like sweet tea on the back or something. So that's still in there, that like Southern prep essence. But I think it's shifted, like I said. But the great thing about preppy fashion as a whole is that it is in essence timeless. True blue preppy style, so the great grandfather of the preppy style, are classic staple pieces of the Ivy Leagues of the 20s to 60s relatively. So the Ivy League look will always be a style inspiration, whether it's old money, dark academia, light academia, New England prep, Southern prep. I mean, the classic Ivy League style will always be a fashion inspiration. I mean, that is just, it's such a staple in our society now that like there's always gonna be a new iteration of preppy, whether it's the preppy person, the Love Shack Fancy Aviator Nation person, or it's the preppy style, like going into like old money or academia style. But that essence of true blue Americana preppiness is not gonna leave. We're always gonna take inspiration from that. And so I like seeing how it morphs and goes into different things. I will say, I think the preppy era of the 2010s was particularly heinous. I think a better preppy era was like the 80s. They had chef's kiss, a great preppy era, and even prior to that. And I love the 2022 preppy era of like old money and very like academia inspired. And even, I mean, I prefer Nashville boutique core and Love Shack Fancy Aviator Nation sorority girl style to the 2010s preppy era. I think it's much more like youthful and fun and imaginative. Maybe not imaginative, because like we got crazy back then with the colors and the patterns and everything. It's just like 2010s fashion in general was so tacky. So when you add that with preppiness and such an emphasis on brands, it's just like my preppy era was the only time I cared about like logos. Like, why was I spending $50 on a Vineyard Vines long sleeve t-shirt? That was so stupid. Anyway, what do you guys think about the 2010s preppy era? Where do you think it's evolved? Like, what did you think about it during that time, if you were around during that time? What do you think about it in retrospect? Like, when you look at the 2010s preppy era, are you like, oh, or are you like, listen, it was cool at the time? And where do you see what do you think happened to that 2010s preppy era? What did it morph into? Do you agree that it kind of split between Nashville boutique and Aviator Nation, or do you think it went more in a different route, or it morphed into like old money? I don't know. let me know what you think of the 2010s preppy era, and if there's any other like old fashion aesthetics that you want me to cover, especially from like the 2010s, since that was my prime time. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Also, let me know if you have anything that you still keep from your preppy era, like me and all of my Lilly Pulitzer stuff. I live and die by Lilly Pulitzer. Bought 2 Lilly Pulitzer skirts from Poshmark last summer and I wear them all the time. So let me know if you have any residual gems from your preppy era, and follow me on TikTok and Instagram because I post content there every single day. And I also on Instagram love to ask you guys every week what you think about the topic that I'm going off of so I can get your input for the video. So do that and subscribe to my channel. I post videos every Thursday. And with that, have a happy day. Bye.